Hello?
Hello.
Did you tune in to me and Lonerbox's conversation?
I saw a little bit of it. How did it go?
Yeah, good.
Are you feeling submissive and breedable today, or are you feeling obnoxious and screaming today? Let me know what the attitude is so I can prepare myself mentally for how obnoxious.
How do you want me to feel? What are you in the mood for?
A nice conversation where you're not screaming over me the entire time would be great.
Yeah, we can try it.
I heard you were running out of content, so you stole my old content of bashing non-binaries. Nice.
Is that your old content?
Yeah, I was on the on non-binaries train like 4 months ago. Okay, I've moved on. I think non-binaries are based now. So.
Do you really?
Kind of, yeah. I got enough emails from people. I was convinced.
That's embarrassing.
That I listened to feedback from other people's experience. Well, here's the thing. I think that the non-binary identity is probably the easiest one to fake. So there's a lot of like cringy people out there that pretend they're non-binary.
Yeah, it's the easiest one to fake, and it's like just fake in general.
I don't know if it's fake in general. I'm not sure.
It's fake.
Like how?
What is non-binary? So you said that you're non-binary.
I said it at one point in time because the way people talked made it sound like maybe I could be, but after finding out what real non-binary people are like, I don't think I'm non-binary at all. I just don't care about some ways of presentation, but I don't care.
Yeah, because no one does.
Well,
because no one does. Because no one has an internal experience of gender, because it means fucking nothing.
Do you really think that's the case?
Yes. What does that even mean? In 2022, who feels like a woman?
I think there is absolutely an internal experience of gender. I think there is. I think it comes out in a lot of the dynamics.
And what does that feel like? And what does it feel like?
It's hard to explain, but it's like these little poles that we have. Okay, I'm sorry. What does it feel like to be a human? Explain it. You got 2 sentences, otherwise you're not a real human.
I'm breathing. I'm alive.
Oh, breathing?
I eat,
really? Dogs breathe. Dogs eat. Dogs. What else?
I have the capacity for empathy.
Yeah, everything has the capacity for empathy. That has fucking eyeballs.
I have thumbs that work.
Great. So do monkeys. Okay, so shut the fuck up. Calm the fuck down. Don't roll your eyes at me. I feel like there are ways that men tend to act. There are ways that women tend to act. And there are seemingly like internal experiences that go along with our gender. Now, it's hard to point out what exactly those are, much the same that like, especially if there's nothing wrong, much the same that it's hard for me to point out like, what is it like to be a human? Or what is it like to have a conscious experience? It's different from like a dog or something. But it seems like there's some internal experience because some people are like really f***ed on it. Like, this is like the question I have. And you know what? You can get me to not believe in all trans people right now. Are you ready? You can make me the ultimate transphobe. How do you account?
I want to do that.
We'll do it. Okay, I want you to do it.
I'm not transphobic.
That's what you say. How do you account for people that have these like super incongruent experiences of gender where they
It's an aberration. It's a mental illness.
Okay, sure.
I think that what they think they think they're feeling gender. But what they're really feeling is just like another mental, like lost.
Okay, sure.
Just feeling lost.
Let's say
I think they hate themselves. I think they feel worthless.
Yeah,
I think in a lot of cases they might be like autogynephilic.
Okay, let's say that that's the case. Let's say that all of these things you're saying are true. Okay. Okay, sure. Let's say they are. Good job. You've discovered it. Why haven't we found any other therapies beyond like gender-affirming care that seem to work to alleviate these people's problems? If that is the case,
what have we tried?
A whole bunch of different types of conversion therapies.
Like what? Like what is that? What does conversion therapy look like for people who are like gender conversion therapy? What does that look like?
I don't know what specific gender conversion therapy is. We can look up some programs if you want.
Because I was talking to Lonerbox and I was like, I don't know, conversion therapy for like trans people, like secular conversion therapy that's, love your body
Thanks
neutrality,
for putting it on now.
like
I can do
learn how
something
to
else
live
for
with
the
this
rest of
body.
my
It
day.
doesn't feel like harmful. That feels like ideal.
Okay, wait. Repeat that last thing again.
It doesn't feel that bad to have secular conversion therapy that's just telling kids like, love your body, learn how to love or exist in the body that you exist in, even if it doesn't feel like it's like, yeah, just learn how to body neutrality, just learn how to love your body, learn how to love yourself as you are. Mm-hmm. Like that doesn't, like Lonerbox described that as conversion therapy, and I'm like, that just
what you're talking
good.
about isn't loving your body is fundamentally different than like accepting your gender. I think that's a different thing. So I'm borrowing off the wiki here, and then we can go deeper into this if you want to look up specific things. But apparently, common methods of conversion therapy are counseling, visualization, social skills training, psychoanalytic therapy, and spiritual interventions. Other methods that have been used include lobotomies, chemical castration, aversive treatments such as the application of electric shock to the hands and or genitals, nausea-inducing drugs administered with the presentation of homoerotic stimuli, and masturbatory reconditioning. That's probably for like sexual orientation stuff.
Yeah, that stuff sounds bad, but
this is just like a feeling that I have. a prior, okay, I could be wrong on this, but I feel like if we would have discovered some successful kind of conversion therapy, we'd be like screaming it from the rooftops and everybody would just be saying, do that. Because it's so much fucking easier than like all the drugs and surgeries and like everything else, no?
I don't know if it's that much easier, and it's certainly not as profitable.
I don't think there's very much profit anywhere in any of this, so I don't think profitability has any influence.
I don't know. I think that there's profit for like the new gender affirmation therapists that like just started existing in the past 5 years.
I don't think that a group of people that didn't exist couldn't have willed themselves into existence with their non-existent profits. I don't believe that is the case.
Here's my problem with the non-binary thing. Okay,
Sure.
Also, I'm not saying that there should be an alternative that's like, I'm not saying that like everyone should be in conversion therapy. I'm not even saying it's necessarily a good thing. I'm just saying there's got to be like another option. Like there's got to be something else that's not just like, I think that my biggest issue and what a lot of people are like trying to grapple with is giving like kids is letting kids diagnose themselves to some extent.
Sure.
And letting them have access to HRT.
Yeah. Wait, real quick. Hold on, before we go down this road, because we can, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm not accusing you of anything, okay? But I'm saying that a heuristic that I would use when talking to people is it's frustrating if somebody expresses a concern with something, but then they jump around to like 20 other concerns. So like if somebody says, I fucking hate women, and I'm like, well, why do you hate women? And they're like, I don't like female sports. It's like, okay, well, that's different than hating women, okay? If you want to talk about specifically minors...
I have a couple problems.
Sure, wait. If you want to talk specifically about like minors getting access to HRT, I think there's a conversation to be had there, but that's fundamentally different than like, I don't believe in non-binary people, right?
Well, I think it's more of like and situation, not like a because. Like
well, sure, but one thing at a time.
I think I have a couple problems with gender ideology.
Sure.
But yeah, the one that I'm going to go on a tangent on now is I think that most people, like myself, can like get down with like can get down, Jesus Christ, can understand transsexualism, right? Like we know that there's like a scientific basis. We know that there's like, you know, whatever. We want people to be the happiest that they can be.
Sure.
I think that a lot of people have hang-ups, like I said, on giving like kids HRT. Because that's like a big decision for a kid to make. Like informed consent can only go so far when your like frontal lobe isn't developed. There's got to be, but we can't say like, okay, wait until you're 18 because there are kids who are like killing themselves, obviously. So that becomes like the looming thing in the back. That's like, you know, kids are killing themselves and you're killing them if you like don't give them HRT, basically, which is like really spooky. And I think that there are like other alternatives than just like giving them these drugs or they kill themselves, right? Like there's got to be. Even if we're babysitting them until they turn 18, right? Even if we're like, hey, just like hold out a bit. But also I don't necessarily believe this is my true opinion, my one true opinion. This is my actual opinion. Everything else is just like I'm just thinking about it. I think that males, like trans women, should be given HRT or blockers as minors before puberty, if possible, because they obviously stand to lose the most if they don't integrate with society, right? Because if you go through testosterone's like a hell of a drug, right? Like if you go through a male puberty and you're 6'4" and huge and hairy, you're like gonna have like a really shit time integrating into society as a woman. Okay. Whereas like the same reality doesn't exist for trans men.
Sure.
So, and we know that like things like social contagion affect like teenage girls in a way that like they don't affect like any other.
I don't know if that's true, but
it is true.
There's social contagion doesn't affect men at all?
No, it does affect men, but not at the same rates. Like things like cutting, things like eating disorders, you know, are almost like exclusively like teenage women. Like certain mental illnesses, like
that might be true. I can probably believe that, sure.
Yeah, it like definitely affects women at like a rate that is like, you know, and I feel like that's becoming like transgenderism or whatever is sort of like started to go into that sort of territory. And if these people have nothing to lose, they should develop normally and then just wait until they're 18 to take HRT, right? Like that's what I think. Because they're not losing anything like a trans woman might. And also we know that like for some reason the prevalence of like transgender women has stayed like really similar throughout the past like 50 years. It's had like little upticks, but trans maleness or trans manness has like skyrocketed. Like it's doubled by like 300%.
When you say trans men, you're talking about women to men, female to male, right?
Yeah, talking about female to male.
Gotcha.
Or female to non-binary.
Sure.
It's like skyrocketed at a rate that like we don't understand.
Sure. There's probably
a lot of the social contagion.
Yeah, with the women there's probably a lot of bullshit happening. Based on what I've heard, it's probably the case.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. And then that becomes my second issue with the whole trans non-binary thing is that I think a lot of women are just saying it because they're like they're like functioning off of like extremely high levels of internalized misogyny.
Okay, that's a whole separate thing, but
yeah, it is a whole separate thing. I just presented that as like my second issue.
Okay, gotcha. Well, the thing that you've laid in the beginning makes it sound like you don't have problems with children being diagnosed as trans. You want more caution to be applied to trans men than trans or women. No, more caution to be applied to trans women than trans men because the consequences for going through a male puberty are severe, so that might require more severe intervention, right? Yeah, I think it seems like there's a lot of like, there's a big like female SJW to non-binary like pipeline that seems to exist right now that's like super fucking cringe, but whatever. Well, I don't know it's just like the trendy
We're losing
thing right
our women.
It's the trendy
We're
thing
losing
right now.
our women on the front line.
I mean, these were going to be like fourth wave feminists anyway. Like it's not like it's not. I don't know if it matters. What are some of the big? I guess like what's like a big mainstream disagreement? Because technically, most of what you said there is not super disagreeable. I don't think.
No, but people still are calling me like transphobic right now. Like lot.
But yeah,
like,
obviously, because anytime you say anything about this topic, that's what people are going to call you.
So yeah, I think this whole thing is brain dead. I think that most people are reasonable and have like reasonable questions about this whole like gender ideology thing, but we're like not allowed to talk about it because everything is like seen as like hateful, and it's like a big cult. It's like a big fascist cult.
Yeah, I knew an old YouTuber who used to say the same. True. What did you and Lonerbox talk about? What were your main points of disagreement?
I guess we didn't disagree on a lot. We mostly agreed. I think that he thinks that non-binary I don't know what would convince me that non-binary exists. Like,
how's it been explained to you in the past?
Like not feeling like a male or a female.
I don't think that anyone intrinsically experiences a sense of gender. Okay, if you don't think anybody experiences intrinsically a sense of gender, and then how do you think trans people are real at all?
Because I think that that's an aberration. I think it is a mental illness to experience gender, because I think that is an external stimuli enforcing, like in the same way that like anorexia is, or like body dysmorphia. There's another Max talking point. Like I understand that it exists, but like the normal group doesn't experience that. Like I think it is an aberration to experience a sense of gender, and then you have gender dysphoria or just sex dysphoria, whatever it is. I just don't believe in 2022 there's like a set of like characteristics about a gender.
Okay, but you don't believe that. Okay, explain to me again why don't you feel like there can't be any like internal experience of gender? Because
in 2022, what is being a woman?
The same as it was in year zero or negative or like 10,000.
Which is what? Being a female.
Well, yeah, but it seems like you don't think there's like an internal experience of what it feels like to be a female?
No, like I like to wear pants. I'm very dominant.
It's not just, well,
opinionated. Like what?
Okay, wait. So then how do you? So you believe that trans people are just like feeling like external pressure to be trans?
Well, I think that probably. Well, I don't want to get too. Listen, I think that a lot of trans people are autogynephilic. I don't think that makes it less valid if you integrate into society as your preferred gender, right? Because effectively you're still a woman if you look, talk, act, and are a woman in society, right? The reason doesn't really matter if you are like acting as a woman, right? Or being a woman. But I think, yeah, that's like a big pusher of why people transition is like autogynephilia.
Gotcha. I don't know if I can push you on this. Because this is a pretty important thing, but like I can just tell you what I've heard, but I mean like if this is what you feel on this, like
well, I can be I guess I can be proved wrong. It also doesn't. It doesn't make it any less valid to me.
Well, but it's pretty important, because if people are running around like doing surgeries and shit on themselves for some fucking shit they just fill in their head, that's pretty fucking stupid.
Well, that's what people do all the time. If you get a nose job, if you get a boob job, people do that constantly.
Yeah, I think if you're killing yourself because you can't get a nose job, you're pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah, definitely.
And trans people are killing themselves because they can't get surgery. I think that's... So
well, I think that trans people kill themselves not just because they can't get surgery, but because of the way that people like treat them if they don't pass.
But I don't think it's just because
integrate into society.
I don't think that it's because those people can't exist in society. I think it's because they have personal feelings about themselves as well. It's not just how society treats them. I think it's also how they see themselves too. But if you don't feel like there's an internal experience of gender, I don't know what to say.
I'd love someone to explain it to me, but every time I ask like a female non-binary person, especially, like what they're like, I don't feel like a female. I'm like, okay, what does feeling like a female mean? Like, you don't like to bake? You don't like the color pink? Like, what does that mean?
So how I've heard it explained to me is that when you look in the mirror, there are certain ways that, like, you can typically tell a body by a silhouette. You can tell if it's male or female generally, right? You can tell by the broadness of the shoulders. You can tell by the curve of the hips. You can tell by the size of the chest. You can tell by the shapes of the arms and legs. Even the shape of the head, how tall somebody is. There's like a general feeling that you can get based on like looking at somebody. And I've had people email me experiences, especially after going on certain drugs like hormone replacement therapy, that like the way that you see your body change, just looking at like the way that your body changes and looks differently can give you like a different sense of relief or feeling that you're in a more correct body than what you were in before. So when I hear stuff like that, it seems to, even though I kind of agree with you in a sense, like I don't feel like necessarily like a man. Like I don't think I have that internal experience. But how could I know, right? If somebody turned me into a girl, maybe it would be the case that tomorrow I'd be like, this feels really bad. I don't feel like I'm a girl. I feel like I want to be a guy again.
Well, that's because you've lived your whole life as the other. That's why.
I know. Like I genuinely don't care. Like emotionally, if I was a woman, I wouldn't give a f. But you'd probably like that, you fucking freak. I could turn you into a woman. What I'm saying is that I don't actually know if I'd be okay with that. Okay. I'm not sure if I'd be okay with that. So it seems like for women, for trans people, it feels like they have that experience of gender that like is so integral to them that like even the way their body looks, the way that their body carries fat, the smoothness of their skin, that these things like play a big role in how much they feel kind of at home in their own body. And I don't know how to account for that or explain that without believing in some kind of like transness, which necessitates some kind of internal gender experience. That's just how I feel about it.
That could just mean so many fucking things now. Like,
it could.
It's just so fucking stupid. And then I'm supposed to believe that these people are like an oppressed class, like all these women that look like women who are calling themselves non-binary or like more oppressed than like a normal female.
Hold on. I'm gonna hold you to areas, okay? I don't want you to jump around to 50 trillion fucking topics, okay? When you say that like I'm supposed to believe these people are an oppressed class, we can ignore the oppressed class. We don't need that, right? That problem is that these people can have issues with their existence, ignoring anything having to do with how other people are treating them. They might just feel horrible in their own body about themselves before we get into any kind of oppressed class stuff. Like we can already be having like major issues. Do you think that, or do you not think that? Yeah, go ahead.
Hard time. I think every adolescent woman looks at herself naked and sees like weakness, sees that she has a body that is like a commodity. And that like men want to take from you.
Wow.
The pressure. Listen, Steven.
Oh.
Listen. The pressure of feeling like you're going to be sexualized your whole life.
Do you have a lot of British friends? I need to know. Do you?
I have a couple, yeah.
Female friend, I don't know what, but there's something took hold in your brainstem, some version of feminism where I feel like it is destroying your ability to see any other part of the world. Even the statement that you utter that's like female to male is bad, but male to female is okay. And you have a decent justification for it,
hold on,
but I feel like it's all stemming from this.
Hold on, yeah. My head hurts. I'm switching my headphones.
Okay, I think that you're letting your, whatever the feminist ideology you picked up in the past year is hardcore shading the way that you view a lot of things, okay? When I'm talking about looking in the mirror, I'm not talking about commodification of the body for the male gaze or any of that feminist shit. We're not even remotely close to that part yet, okay? Boys and girls develop feelings about their gender or reach down to see if they've got a penis and stuff when they're 6 months old, way before the commodification of the female body and the objectification of women, way before any of that starts to take hold. Like we start to develop senses or feelings of gender really early in life. So I want to talk about this. Let's way before we get to feminist ideology or any really I'm talking about very, very fundamental basic views of how we view ourselves Like, not how we view ourselves in our place in society, but just how we view ourselves as like humans in our bodies. That's where I'm at right now. Okay, sorry.
Hold on, I'm making myself look
yeah, do that.
like,
Get that
more
fringe out there.
attractive.
That's how I know you're really fucking insane, is when I see that fringe. I'm like, only crazy girls have. Yeah, I'm talking about very, very internal experiences of like gender and stuff, not anything having to do with objectification and ideology and male gaze and patriarchy. We haven't gotten to that stuff yet. Okay.
Yeah, I hate. Okay, it's like impossible to exist in a world where you don't think about your gender, and also
you can totally have thoughts that aren't like completely taken over by that stuff. We can think about a lot of things related to stuff without having to tie it all back to white supremacy or patriarchy or some other intersectional or sociological concept. There are things that are pretty fundamental to us.
I think for a man, that is true. I don't think it's true for women. We can agree to fucking disagree.
You don't think that women...
The only way I've been able to experience myself is through like a political lens. Because it's 2022, I can do whatever a man can do. It's what's keeping me from doing those things that influences how I feel about myself. Otherwise, I would just be a person. I wouldn't even know I was a female. Like who wakes up and is like, I feel female? Nobody. You wake up, you pee. You look down, you're like, oh, I have a vagina. But you're not like, yes, I feel, my vagina courses through my veins. I feel it with every move I make. I love being maybe if you're pregnant, you probably feel more feminine than usual.
Okay, we had a conversation a couple weeks ago, right? You brought up this concept of like the idealized masculine and the idealized feminine. What did you mean when you said that? I
think that there are certain like, I think it's mostly like what you make of it, but I think there are certain things that are like evolutionary, like women are also scientific. Like we know that women have more like developed emotional centers in the brain.
Okay.
Men have like more developed like logical centers.
Okay.
So there are things like that are like, you know, women are more empathetic by nature. On average, right? Like this isn't for everything. I don't think that everyone should exist in this like binary of like divine masculine, divine feminine. I also think that within us there is like just a bunch of traits and we call them masculine and feminine because of what is like.
So we can recognize that we have a binary, that there might be male and female, but the distribution of traits is like bimodal. Like men tend to do this, women tend to do this. So we have binary two categories, but there's like a lot of overlapping traits, right? There are a lot of emotional men, there are a lot of logical women, right? Just because men tend to be, okay, so we can agree with that. But is it possible that we could speak to some type of like female experience that is a bit different than like a male experience? Say, for instance, if we were to put a ton of men and a ton of women in a room, and there's like a baby crying, that like a woman on average might be more keen to investigate and try to soothe the child than a man might be. Maybe, right?
In 2022?
Oh man, you're gonna trigger me. You are gonna trigger me. You're just gonna trigger the fuck out of me. You're gonna trigger the Okay, so you believe that there's no difference between men and women. We're all the same, basically. All of it can be socially reprogrammed. If you want to be ultra woke, you can give me that one. But tell me that. Okay, then no. Then are you gonna tell me then that, yeah, there's probably some general differences between men and women, even in 2022, that we're probably gonna see in terms of behavior?
I told you, like 11... I just had a stroke. Hold on, sorry. Let me reboot. Accessing files. Hold on. Okay. No, I think that evolutionarily we are slightly different, but we know that those differences aren't like huge.
Okay, that none of what you just said addresses or contradicts my example at all, but
sure. But sure then. For your example, then sure, probably a girl would go and see if the baby was okay.
Okay, generally, do you think that women tend to walk a different way a little bit than men?
Like, what do you mean? Like
if I have a silhouette of somebody walking based on like the way their kind of butt moves, the way that their legs move, that I can kind of tell. Generally.
We're shaped different.
Sure. Do you think that the way that a woman might enter a room and socialize with people might be a little bit different than the way a man enters a room and socializes with people?
Yeah.
Do you think that the way that like
evolutionary?
Yeah. Do you think the way that two men interact with each other is gonna, even if I just saw silhouettes and I didn't have specific shapes, that I might be able to tell there's a difference between the way like two women associate with each other? Maybe the women are more huggy or more emotional or expressive. Men are a little bit more withdrawn. Maybe.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. So I could list like a million examples of these things, but I think that like in general, I think that this speaks maybe to an idea that there seems to be some pretty deep differences or internal differences between like how men and women are kind of like programmed a little bit biologically.
Programmed biologically, I
Yes.
don't know. Because in places like Spain, it's like very normal for like men to kiss each other hello and goodbye and be very touchy with each other. So a lot of the examples that you gave
Yeah.
are very externally driven.
Okay. So no. So to some
Okay,
extent.
so yes. I agree that some of it
Wait,
is
let me finish.
biological.
To some extent, there's going to be some cultural differences, but if you go to Spain, nobody in Spain is confusing a man for a woman. Nobody in Spain or Greece or any of these Southern European places are like, oh my God, like men sometimes are emotional or kiss people here. Like they're just like our women. That is absolutely not true. In fact, in a lot of Southern European countries, the men are even more sexually aggressive than the women are for one difference, or than men are in other parts of the world is like one difference. So even though they might have some customs that are like, that's kind of weird from a Western perspective, there's still very clear differences between men and women, right?
Sure.
Okay.
I think it's yeah.
I'm just saying, like, can it be the case that, like, it seems like that points to there being some pretty deep differences between how men and women are internally? Like, it feels like it's driven pretty deeply.
I think that it's impossible, I guess, to know what is nature versus nurture in that sense. But I can tell you that I was brought up genderlessly. My parents let me do whatever the fuck. They called me she and her, obviously. They called me my name.
Okay.
But they never like imposed any sort of toy on me. They let me have Hot Wheels if I wanted them.
Base.
For a second, I wanted to be called like CJ or something, like a boy's name, because I was like a tomboy.
Okay.
Never felt they raised me the same way that they would raise like a boy, I suppose.
Okay.
And I'm an extremely dominant personality. I'm
Kind of.
still, I think, feminine because I do just like the things that I like. But I don't think that. I think that a lot of men tell me that I have a very masculine personality. That I have a very that I have a masculine personality, and
You
I
do
think that if
you
I
have
looked-
you do have a lot of masculine traits, right? In terms of like dominant personality,
Yeah.
Boisterous, loud, annoying, obnoxious, piece of shit, insulting, et cetera,
Oh,
for sure.
so those are masculine traits? You said it.
Generally,
you
they are.
said it,
Yeah,
not me.
They are, yeah. But like you're still very much like a woman. Like there's no question about it. Even with the
Sure,
totality
but
of
it's
your
because
behavior.
of the way that I look.
I don't even know if it's just because of the
way
way that you look. Like there's still like some
I
like
think I've a lot of gay men have been attracted to me.
no.
Like, yes, they have.
No.
Not in the way that I look, but in my demeanor, absolutely. And a lot of straight men have been put off by my demeanor because it's pretty masculine.
Straight men might be put off, but like gay men aren't going to be attracted to a cis woman just because of their personality. That otherwise they wouldn't be
They
gay.
absolutely can.
Then you're
be,
talking
yeah.
about a bisexual man.
Well, no, they didn't f- me, but they were like, I like they've been attracted to my.
Well, that's
to
great.
my-
Then you've helped some gay men discover that they're bisexual.
No, but I think it's impossible to separate my. You're adding to my point, which it's impossible to separate my body from my. This is why I just think that sex exists. Like I don't think that gender exists.
Well, no, I
think
agree
sex
that
does.
you can't separate the body thing, but that's kind of what I'm pointing towards. That like the body thing kind of goes into our like gender identities as well, like the way that we look.
No,
is
gender means fucking nothing. Gender means nothing. It just means personality. Gender means nothing. Gender is nothing. Gender doesn't fucking exist. It's a theory. Gender is not some intrinsic thing. It's not a universal truth. It is a theory.
Okay, that is possible, but the problem is
Gender means personality. Gender means personality.
okay.
That's what it means.
Here's the issue that I have. Okay, ready?
Oh,
Okay.
jeez.
The issue that I have in saying that gender is meaningless or doesn't whatever. Okay. The problem that I'm looking at is that it seems like there is a consistent set of behaviors among the set of all men since we recorded history and the set of all women since recorded history. And those seem to be pretty consistent throughout all of history. So I feel like assuming a behavior is a thing that stems from some internal thing, it feels like that internal thing is different between men and women. Whatever that internal thing is.
You're talking about like a soul. You're getting into like soul stuff. Oh my god. Someone you've been reading too much Bible.
What did I? Okay, so you just men and women are the same. Men and women are the same. That's what you want to say then. Just say that. Say, oh, Stephen, I think men and women are the same. There's no difference at all. Just say that. Or all the differences are socially driven. Do you think every difference between a man and woman is socially different?
No, I think that sex exists. And I think that there are different sexes, but I think personality-wise, gender-wise, in 2022...
Do you think your sex influences your personality? We can be whatever the
fuck we want.
But you can say that. You can say we can be whatever the fuck we want. But how do you explain in places like...
Wait. Okay, so if...
I almost finished the sentence. Keep going, Live. Go, what?
Sex influences your personality. So it makes no sense to me that someone could have a female personality and be male.
What if that sex extended past more than just
so what body? Is it then? Show me where gender is in the brain, Stephen.
Show me where consciousness is in the brain. Oh, you can't do that. Are you conscious?
That was a joke. Have you not heard people say, show me where depression is in the brain?
No.
Like trying to say that depression isn't real? Like, show me where depression is in the brain.
I got it. Thank you. I understand the joke.
Yeah, it's just funny. It's just a funny little gag.
It wasn't funny because you're triggering me nonstop and just asking the question.
There is evidence of gender in the brain.
Sure.
You know that there is evidence of gender.
I've heard different concentrations of white matter, different concentrations of matter in the brain stem, or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Or what we think is gender, but I just think it's all fucking stupid. I imagine being someone that's so fucking boring and useless that you can't think of anything to make yourself interesting other than fucking switching your gender around. It's so if my kid ever came to me and was like, I'm non-binary, I'd be like, holy cringe, I failed. I'd be like, oh my god, you're going to jail. Just kidding. No, but I'd be like, we're immediately getting you to a therapist. Please find a hobby. Like, find anything else to do, please. Like, be normal challenge, difficulty impossible. No, but I'm like, at that point, if my kid came up to me and was like, I'm trans, I'd be like, okay.
Okay, hold on. We are running into so many different other topics. Why?
Okay.
I'm just saying, so you don't believe that the differences between men and women, you don't think that that's biologically driven at all, or do you?
I do think it's biologically driven.
Okay, then why are you saying that it's all just like culture, or it's all nurture, or whatever?
Because I think that that's what non-binary is. Because non-binary.
No, why are we talking about non-binary? I'm just trying to ask you about fucking gender for men and women. Why do you have to go to another fucking topic? Please, let's stay here, okay? Come back. Okay. Come back to me, okay?
I have no problem with transsexualism. I think.
No, why are you bringing up transsexualism? I'm just trying to find out if you think there's an internal experience of gender.
Well, I think that there is an internal experience of gender for people who are mentally ill and who are dysphoric. Dysphoria would be like, okay, my sense of personality and how I view my body are like not the same. So in that sense, that would be like you would feel like, then it would be gender, because if you can pinpoint it to like your sex being not right, it would be like, okay, there's something wrong there. And that's why I think that like transsexualism makes sense to me, because it seems like it's probably possible to have like, to be like, oh, I wish that I was in this set of gender roles or something, or like I wish that, you know.
Okay,
here's like autogynephilia.
Okay, hold on. This is okay. Let's say that we have a room full of boxes.
Okay, boxes. My name is Boxy.
Let's say that all the boxes weigh 1 pound. Okay.
Okay.
Now let's say
that's like so heavy for me because I'm like so tiny.
I can tell. Yeah, you're gonna need to
so feminine and
ask
tiny.
Somebody to pick it up for you. Let's say some of these boxes weigh 5 pounds. Or no. When we pick them up, we find out that some of the boxes weigh 5 pounds and some of the boxes weigh 3 pounds. Right? Okay. The box itself is only 1 pound, but we can't look inside. Are you following me? So, room full of boxes, and the guy tells you all these boxes only weigh 1 pound, but there might be stuff inside of them, right? So some boxes weigh 3 pounds and some boxes weigh 5 pounds, right? Are you following me? Do you got all that?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm
trying to see where you're going with this.
If I can never look inside any of the boxes, but I know that they weigh different things, they weigh differently. Some are 5 pounds, some are 3 pounds. I have to guess at some point, okay, well, it seems like there's probably something different in the 5 pound boxes than what's in the 3 pound boxes. Because I can't look inside, but like there's a lot of the same parts. They're all like a box with something inside, but it seems like a lot of the boxes weigh 5 pounds and a lot of the other boxes weigh 3 pounds. So there's something different inside each box, right? Now, when I look at human behavior, okay, human behavior is an extract or an abstract from whatever is inside of us, right? If a person acts a certain way, that is coming from, it follows from whatever is inside of you. If I look through all of human history and I see men tend to act a certain way and women tend to act a certain way, then it's kind of like men are the 5-pound boxes and women are the 3-pound boxes, and that they probably have something different inside. And that thing that's different inside is what I would talk of as like gender. It seems to be the case. Unless you can account for those consistent external actions differently that have happened through like all of human history. Does that make sense?